The sun sank low over the Oklahoma plains, stretching shadows long and mean across the cracked earth. Eliza Harrow stood barefoot outside her father's cabin, the wind tugging strands of her hair across her eyes as a group of Apache riders crested the ridge. Their ponies kicked up dust like rising ghosts. Her fingers were raw from digging fence posts, but her eyes were dry. She wouldn't give Jedediah Harrow the satisfaction of seeing her cry not today. He leaned against the porch rail, bottle in hand, with the smirk of a man who thought he'd done something clever. His voice, soaked in liquor and cruelty, cut through the wind. I told you was strong, ugly as sin, but strong. Said you'd fetch a good trade. He spat into the dirt. Better deal than that sickly boy I'd buried last spring. Eliza stared at him, jaw tight. Her brother Tom had died under mysterious circumstances. The bruises, the silence, and now this, the truth had always been there, rotten under the surface. Her pa hadn't buried a boy. He buried a burden. Now he was trading her off the same way he traded a mule with a busted leg. 6 Apache riders approached in single file, their faces painted, their expressions unreadable. The one in front was younger than the others, long hair braided, a scar running down his cheek. He dismounted first, calm as water. Jedediah raised the bottle in greeting. Chief said you owed me, now we're square. The Apache didn't respond. Instead he looked at Eliza, just looked, not with hunger, not with pity. Just saw her. That startled her more than anything else. You'll go with them, her father said. They won't treat you soft, but you're used to that, ain't you? He tossed a threadbare satchel at her feet. Go on, don't make a scene, you don't belong here no more. She didn't argue. She didn't scream or plead. What would be the point? This land had never offered her kindness, only calluses and scars. Her own kin had sold her out for liquor and bullets. So she walked forward, shoulders square, leaving behind the shack where love had never once taken root. The young Apache Coda, she would learn later, lifted her gently onto the back of his pony without a word. His touch was careful, respectful. And for the first time in her life, Eliza felt the absence of violence. They rode into the red horizon as the sun bled across the sky, casting her father's silhouette long and small against the doorframe. She never looked back. The journey was silent but not cruel. Coda offered her water, jerky, even his blanket when the cold settled in. She didn't know what to make of it. Every man she'd known before took more than he gave. Coda took nothing. At dusk on the second day, they reached a wide basin surrounded by red rock cliffs. Smoke curled up from scattered fires. Children darted between huts. It wasn't what she expected. It wasn't captivity. A circle of elders awaited them. Coda spoke in their tongue, brief and solemn. One elder, face painted with wisdom and grief, stepped forward. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. She is yours now, he said to Coda in halting English. Eliza bristled. I ain't anyone's. To her surprise, Coda didn't push back. He just dipped his head. Then we begin with truth. That night she slept in a small shelter near his own. He left her be, no chains, no threats, just space, just quiet. A kind she'd never known. Still, doubt sat heavy in her gut. This was no fairy tale. The world didn't hand out peace without asking a price. And something in the wind warned her. That price would come due sooner than she liked. Far behind them, Jedediah Harrow sat drunk and smug, unaware that his trade had stirred more than gossip. News was spreading. The kind of news that brought marshals? The kind of news that carried gallows and justice in equal measure? Eliza's past wasn't done with her. And neither was the law. Life in the Apache camp unfolded like a quiet fire slow. Steady and warm if you sat close enough. For the first time, Eliza wasn't someone's whipping post or burden. She was simply there. No one coddled her, but no one spat on her either. The women taught her how to grind corn, how to mend hides, how to find water in dry places. She learned without. Asking questions, watched more than she spoke. And Coda watched her too, from a distance. He never forced conversation, but when he spoke, His words carried weight. Asterisk. You don't flinch when the men yell, he said one evening by the fire. Most white women do. Asterisk, she shrugged, eyes on the flames. Flinching wastes time. Asterisk, he looked at her, quiet for a moment. Your scars speak louder than your voice. Asterisk, Eliza met his gaze. Then maybe you should stop listening. Asterisk, but there was no malice in his face, only understanding. That scared her more than hate ever had. By the second moon she'd stopped, keeping count of the days. The wind sang through the rocks at night, and sometimes when she couldn't sleep, she'd see Coda sitting alone outside his shelter, sharpening his blade, eyes scanning the stars. Asterisk, one night, she joined him. Asterisk, why? She asked. Asterisk, he didn't turn. The chief owed your father. I chose to take you because I knew he'd hurt you. A man like that doesn't barter unless he's hiding something. Asterisk, she frowned. So what am I to you? A rescue project? Asterisk, Coda finally looked at her. No, you're a storm someone tried to bury. I just gave you sky to rage in. Asterisk, something cracked in her chest. Not love, not yet. But the bitter roots of fear and rage began to curl into something different. Something like trust. But the peace couldn't last. Asterisk, riders came from the North traders, white men who didn't belong in Apache land. They stayed one night and left at dawn, but left behind more than dust. They left behind whispers. Asterisk, the law was looking for a girl named Eliza Harrow. Said she disappeared from her father's homestead. Said her younger brother might not have died of fever after all. Said the girl was last seen with Injuns. Asterisk, by the next morning, the elders were in council. Voices rose like smoke. Asterisk, she bring death, one said. Asterisk, she bring soldiers, said another. Asterisk, she bring truth, Coda replied. Asterisk, Eliza stood at the edge of the gathering, spine stiff, fists clenched. If I'm a danger, say so to my face. Asterisk, the circle fell silent. Chief Nantan, who had not spoken in days, looked at her with eyes as old as stone. Asterisk, the white world follows its wounded. If you stay, it will find you here. Asterisk, Coda stepped beside her. Then I'll ride ahead, find the lawmen, see their intent. Asterisk, Eliza turned. You'd risk your life for me? Asterisk, I don't do this for you, he said evenly. I do it because your father traded a life for whiskey, and that wrong carries weight. Someone has to hold it. That night, before he rode, Coda left her something, the same knife he had once gifted her. For protection? He said again. Eliza held it tight. From who? Asterisk, he mounted his horse. From whatever comes looking for the past. Asterisk, and with that he vanished into the dusk. A lone rider shadowed by the rising moon. Asterisk, Eliza watched until he was swallowed by distance. Her heart caught between two worlds, the one that sold her, and the one trying to make her whole. Asterisk, but in the darkness of that basin, another presence stirred. Asterisk, her father hadn't kept quiet. And men who wore badges weren't the only ones coming. Some came for justice. Others came for vengeance. The town of Larkspur lay brittle under the noon sun, a crooked spine of shacks and saloons baking in the dust. Coda rode through its heart like a shadow, unnoticed at first, just another stranger in worn buckskin. But when he stopped outside the sheriff's office and dismounted, eyes narrow beneath his headband, the street quieted. Asterisk, he stepped inside, where a marshal sat behind a scarred desk, sipping coffee like it was whiskey. His coat bore the silver star of federal authority, and the eyes beneath his brim held the cold clarity of a hangman. Asterisk, you looking for a girl? Coda asked. Asterisk, the marshal didn't flinch. Depends who's asking. Asterisk, I'm the man she rides. With asterisk that got the room's attention, deputies straightened. One of them reached for his holster. Asterisk, Coda didn't blink. She didn't kill that boy, her brother. I've seen the scars she carries. Asterisk, the marshal stood, slow, deliberate. Doesn't matter what you've seen. We've got a statement from the father. Asterisk, Coda's lip curled. The same father who sold her like cattle? Asterisk, the marshal's jaw tightened. We follow law, not rumors. Asterisk, you ain't following justice. Coda said coldly. You're following orders from a man who drinks guilt for breakfast. There was a pause, then a deputy stepped forward. Marshal, he's one of them, Apache. The marshal raised a hand to silence him. I don't care if he's Apache or a damn ghost. If what he says is true, there's a reckoning coming. Coda leaned in, voice low. It's already here. Thus, back in the basin, the wind had shifted. Eliza stood outside the shelter, watching storm clouds crawl in from the west. The air smelled of gunpowder and dust, too dry, too still. The elders had grown restless. The women whispered when she passed. She knew something was coming. And it wasn't just Coda, that night, just past moonrise, the first shot cracked through. The cliffs like lightning-splitting stone, a rider burst into camp, face bloodied, eyes wide with panic. White men, he gasped. 5 of them, not soldiers, not law, bounty hunters. Eliza didn't wait. She grabbed the knife from under her mat and ran toward the southern ridge. She knew who sent them. Eliza Harrow had never let go of his hate. He'd poisoned the law, and now he'd hired men outside it. The bounty hunters weren't coming to arrest her, they were coming to bury her. They rode in hard, guns high, horses foaming, the camp scattered, children screamed. Men reached for bows and rifles. Eliza stood alone on the ridge path, knife in hand, heart thundering. The lead rider spotted her and veered his horse. Drawing a Colt as he galloped forward, she didn't flinch. She stepped forward, but before the shot could ring out, a rifle cracked from the northern rise. The rider tumbled from his saddle in the sprawl of limbs and dust. Coda, he emerged from behind a rock. Rifle slung low, eyes blazing. 2 more shots followed, one from a hunter, one from the camp. A second bounty man screamed and fell. Chaos erupted. Coda slid down the rocks toward Eliza as bullets whined overhead. I warned them, he said, panting. But your father? He paid them to finish the job. They're not law? She asked, breathless. No, just guns for hire. But that marshal, he's coming too, Eliza clenched her knife. Then let him see what kind of girl he's chasing. The final bounty hunter, a tall man with a black hat and dead eyes, found her near the fire pit. He grabbed her by the arm and sneered. Pretty thing under all that dirt. Shame to waste you, Eliza didn't hesitate. She drove Coda's knife into his gut and twisted. He gasped, stumbled back, and fell into the flames. She stood there, chest heaving, watching the fire devour his coat. Behind her, Coda approached. In silence. It's done, he said. No, Eliza replied. It's just begun. Because now the marshal was on his way, and this time he'd find the girl not running, not hiding, but standing her ground. The marshal arrived just after dawn, riding beneath a heavy sky that promised rain. His coat was damp with dust, his eyes cold with duty. 6 deputies trailed him, rifles across their saddles, scanning the canyon walls as the Apache camp loomed ahead. Smoke still curled from the blackened fire pit where the last bounty hunter had fallen. Buzzards circled above the ridge. The wind carried the copper tongue of blood and gunpowder. Eliza stood waiting. She met the marshal in the center of the basin. Unarmed, unbowed, dressed in a doeskin tunic stitched by the women of the tribe. Her hands bore the cuts of labor. Her face, the calm of a storm past. The marshal dismounted slowly. Eliza Harrow? She nodded. You're wanted for questioning, he said. Your brother died under uncertain cause. Your father made accusations? And where's my father? She asked evenly. Dead, the marshal replied. Found in his cabin. Shot once in the chest, point blank. House ransacked. Eliza didn't move. Wasn't me. Coda stepped from the shadows. Wasn't us either. The marshal studied them both. Then it's someone else who wanted him silenced. He silenced himself, Eliza said softly. Every lie he ever told was loaded like a bullet in someone else's gun. A silence settled. Then the marshal spoke again, slower now, his voice no longer edged with authority. But with curiosity, you were traded to the Apache? Asterisk, yes, she answered. But not owned. Not harmed, respected. Asterisk, he looked around at the camp, at the women stirring stew over fires, at the men sharpening blades, not with menace, but with quiet dignity. You killed 3 bounty hunters, he said. I defended my life, she replied. They weren't law. They were death wrapped in coin. Asterisk, another silence. One of the deputies shifted, uncomfortable. Asterisk, the marshal let out a long breath. Jedediah Harrow was a drunk, a liar, and a brutal man. We have evidence now, accounts from neighbors, a ledger with names, debts, trades. The case against you? He looked her in the eyes. It's finished. Asterisk, Eliza's shoulders sagged, just a little, like a breath she'd held since childhood had finally left her. Asterisk, but the marshal wasn't done. What will you do now? Asterisk, she looked to Coda then. To the sky, asterisk, live, she said. Build something, maybe heal. Asterisk, he nodded once. Then you won't be hearing from us again. Asterisk, he turned, mounted, and with a gesture, his men followed him back into the dust. Later, under a sky heavy with thunderclouds, Coda and Eliza sat by the ridge where the last rider had fallen. His knife rested between them, cleaned. And wrapped in deerskin. Asterisk, you could go back, he said. To the towns, to the white world. Asterisk, she shook her head. I've had enough of men who wear hats and hide truth behind laws. Here I found something real. Asterisk, he didn't smile. But his eyes softened. You're not the same woman we rode in with, he said. No, she replied. I buried her with the man who raised her. Asterisk, he reached out, placed his hand over hers, not as a claim, not as possession. As promise, asterisk, they sat like that for a while, until the wind began to howl and rain kissed the earth in soft, cooling drops. Years later, the tale of the white girl traded to the Apache lived on in whispers, how she married the scar-faced warrior, how she brought healing herbs to nearby settlements, how she stared down the law with fire in her eyes. Asterisk, they called her many things, wild, strange, half-savage. But those who met her saw the truth. She was not a girl who had been given away. Asterisk, she was a woman who had taken herself back. Asterisk, and in the red canyons of the West, where the wind remembered everything, her name rode forever on the breeze. Eliza, the girl no man could break.